Thank you so much for joining us all for the Connected Contracts Twitter space. So this is one of the first Twitter spaces that we've done for the hackathon front. And we're very lucky to be joined today by two phenomenal guest speakers. And I want to give a quick introduction just to the Connected Contracts Hackathon, and then we'll go ahead and move right along. So the first thing is the Connected Contracts Hackathon is a 6-week virtual hackathon. It's sponsored by Arrington Capital, by the Moonbeam Foundation, and Axelar. So these are the people and the teams who have made the hackathon possible. And the hackathon is rapidly coming up, to its close, which will finish up on September 26th. So that's next Monday. And my name is Kevin Nielsen. I'm a developer relations engineer working on Moonbeam. And today we have the distinct pleasure of being joined by Keli Callaghan, who's a partner at Arrington Capital, and Ishmael Bautista. He's a member of the Moonbuilders community and a past winner of the Moon River Grant Hackathon. So Arrington Capital helped to make possible the Connected Contracts Hackathon, and they're also deeply committed to supporting builders in the Moonbeam ecosystem. Arrington has a $100 million ecosystem fund that's dedicated and focused squarely on the Moonbeam ecosystem. And Moonbeam is committed to empowering builders at all stages. If you can imagine 4 stages, I kind of like to break it down into 4 different stages. And the hackathon step is really the second stage. So the first one is learning. So whether that's through Moonbuilders Academy or following popular Solidity resources, to learn about smart contract development, that could be resources like Patrick Collins' developer course. The second one is hackathons, and the third one is grants. So that would be through the new, Moonbeam Community Grants Program. And the fourth one is venture investment through funds like the Moonbeam Ecosystem Fund. So today we're going to be focusing on the hackathon stage, primarily with a look ahead to the fourth stage of venture capital. So I want to give a quick background to Isma's project that he worked on for the Moon River Grant Hackathon. We had a number of different bounties, ones which are focused on particular things. So in one was building an NFT gallery and an NFT viewer. This is for the Moon River Grant Hackathon, and Isma actually won first place in that. And I don't want to steal his thunder, so I want to, allow him to introduce how what the project looks like and all. But I did want to just quickly introduce it. So the name of the project was called Mooncase, and Mooncase had a phenomenal, user experience, and it allows you to show as many different, NFTs as possible that were built on the Moon River network. And he included a bunch of different parameters, including, the name of the NFT collection, if it had any particular attributes, as well as a photo. The correct metadata, which is very important. And one of the best things about Mooncase is that it supported many different NFT collections. So that was kind of the inspiration behind creating this bounty, was because we noticed that there are many different places to go to look at particular NFT collections in Moon River. But what we found was that they were sort of disconnected. So if you wanted one place to go to look at many different NFT collections, that was a bit harder to find. And so Mooncase was is an awesome place to go, to see all these different NFT collections. And Isma built it. And now he's got speaker privileges. So thank you so much, Peter. Isma, I can go ahead and welcome you and introduce you. So Isma is a member of the Moonbuilders community. He's been around, on Discord. He's been around in Dev's Open Mic, and he's participated in a number of different hackathons. So Isma, do you mind taking us back, to kind of how you got involved in the Moonbeam ecosystem, and maybe, what was the first hackathon that you participated in?
Actually, it was the first hackathon I have participated in Moonbeam and also in my life.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was the first hackathon I've ever participated, and I found out about it just 2 weeks before the first deadline because I saw the announcement on the Discord channel, the Moonbeam Discord channel, and I said, "Hey, let's try to code for this hackathon," because I was already coding for fun. So I saw the incentives, the community, and the money, and I said, "Hey, let's try this out." So as you mentioned it before, I made an application called Mooncase that it's a NFT collection showcase that allows you to see all the NFTs on Moonriver Network, and in addition to that, it allows you to create on-chain names to the NFTs. So you can share them by the name to your friends, like nft.com or mooncase.com/Kevin, and there's a Kevin NFT. Or for example, you can look for it on the search that there's in the application. I got so much fun doing this application because I had some Solidity knowledge and I had some web development knowledge, but thanks to this application, I could merge my knowledge into one single application, and it was very exciting and pleasing.
That's amazing to hear. And yeah, the unique link was a super powerful feature because, in the past, people would need to share like a long address, right? Which is hard to remember. And when you want to share something easy with your followers, Mooncase allowed you to set, a particular link like Kevin or Kevin's NFTs, and then share that convenient link, which is awesome. Um, so, and Ismail, what advice would you give to somebody who's considering, participating in the Connected Contracts Hackathon, but maybe they're not sure 100% yet? What advice would you give to them?
Well, my advice from my own experience is that if they start too late in the contest, they can even win some of the prizes if they are constant. Because those who have already been from the beginning, although they have an advantage, they are more tired than you. For example, I started with the connected contracts on the day one, and I'm really tired that right now. So if someone can do the same as me but better, he will have more points than me. And in addition to that tip, another tip that maybe it's very generic but it works is to ask questions without any fear to feel noob or to feel bad. Even if you receive answers that you don't like or with bad manners, you need to try again in another community or with other people, because in Web3, you will always find someone willing to help you without any interest. That's how I learned, because I was always looking on Twitter, looking on Discord, and asking people, how can I do that? Can you explain this to me for dummies? Because I'm not the sharpest in the class, but I like to speak with the people and learn from them. And I think that's the most powerful tool for someone that want to develop.
I love that you mentioned, asking questions without worrying, and that can sometimes be, the hardest part is feeling comfortable asking questions and, saying like, am I phrasing the question wrong? Am I thinking about something wrong? But you're saying don't worry at all. Just go ahead and ask the questions. And if you're looking on Twitter or you're looking somewhere and you're not getting the answers you're looking for, you're saying there are communities where you'll be able to find the answers. And uh, and also, Ismail, you submitted your moon case with less than 2 weeks to go, and you won. So I just wanted to echo that this could be some inspiration to people who maybe have something in draft state. They're not sure if everything's totally done. Go ahead, finish it up. You have a week, and that's plenty of time to make something happen.
Yeah, I think it's totally possible. Someone starting right now to win some of the prizes.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Oh yeah,
I'm totally sure because
me
if
too.
you design it well, the code part is not that long. The long part is the design is the design side.
Absolutely, and pressure makes diamonds. You know, working under pressure, and can work out really well with a good deadline. Um, so I think Kelly's back, and Kelly, do you mind if I head back to I think the first question that we were interested in, which is you know uh, what is kind of like a key hurdle that Web3 faces on the path to mainstream adoption?
Hi, Kevin. Thank you. I'm so sorry about my connected issues, but I think I'm coming across in real time and I've disconnected all my headsets. So, can you hear me okay?
Perfectly, not to
Great.
worry at all.
No, it's a good question. I think something that everyone's trying to answer, right? Because everyone in the space recognizes how this is better, faster, cheaper, more efficient, and effective infrastructure where, you're moving from Web 2, which was an information share and these communities, and now you get to own your own data and own sort of your own experience, your own persona in this new world that we're entering into, whether that's loyalty points with brands, whether that's how you consume and support artists, music, entertainment, whether that's how you own your own data, that might be about healthcare. So when you look at all these industries that are about to get disrupted, I know all of us in Web3 recognize that, but people outside of this really don't. I mean, I was sitting last week with a lawyer in a European country, and we were talking about real estate on chain and the significance of that and what that means and what it means to be able to fractionalize a piece of a real estate item, and how people that couldn't participate in those economic models before can now participate in those because of the smart contracts and because of how easy it is and the low transaction fees. And he couldn't wrap his head around it, and I think that's interesting because we all obviously have a lot of education to do, but to prove out these real world use cases, it has to be so smooth and seamless, and the benefit to each and every user has to be there, whether that's the lawyer that needs to wrap his head around legality, like where is that actually registered, or if it's people that are being able to participate in those systems or profit from those systems. So Kevin, I don't think there's an easy answer to that question, but I think there's a lot to do around education still to this day, and I think that's a hard nugget to swallow when you think about the fact that, for those of us that have been in this space 4 to 5, 6 years, like we've been saying that for a long time. And I do think that it still is the case if you look more broadly, unfortunately. And then two, is just UI where it's seamless and smooth and people can understand the benefit. If you just to carry the real estate one on, like just a seamless, smooth experience where someone's like, okay, here's $50 or $5,000, and they're immediately seeing return off of, how, rental income is coming back to their wallet every 30 days or something like that, right? So I think it's education and it's like super smooth, slick user experiences that really need to come to the forefront to see more mainstream adoption. And I know there's more to it than that. I know the tech continues to make strides every day, and there's obviously regulation and government and different ways of participating, and different ways that all sectors of the economy get to participate and use this. But I think it boils down to some of those things being important things for people who are building to recognize and understand in this space. It's not just as simple as saying, oh yeah, I'm building this DeFi app, it does blah, 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 and it's spewing stuff. Like the everyday person really does need to understand what you're building, and the everyday person needs to be able to like be hands-on and and understand what those applications do and what it does for them. Sorry, that was a long answer, Kevin.
I love the fact that you brought up that we need to make the user experience better for everybody, and it can't just be that we're taking the Web 2 use cases and that we're decentralizing them, but at the same time providing a worse user experience. That's not going to fly. And I love the fact that you mentioned that we need to make it better for the lawyer. We need to make it better for the homeowner. It needs to be better for everybody, and that's a high bar to meet. So it's
Yeah, and it's super high and it's super hard. And I see a lot of really interesting projects and really interesting stuff come through. And I like being hands-on, right? Like I like touching and feeling it. And I've been in this space, granted I'm not an engineer and I'm not a developer, but I've been in this space for 5 years now. If I get hung up on something, like, that's a challenge. How is my cousin, my mom, my husband, like, how are they supposed to be able to easily do that if they're not completely aware of what the underpinnings are and what the tech looks like that's being built on? So I think it's important.
One of the things that I'm super excited about, with connected contracts is that hopefully we'll be able to abstract, some of the complexities of moving between different chains, and constantly, switching networks in MetaMask and getting another token, but changing it to an experience where you can be, on a home chain like Moonbeam, and you can interact with features, from many different chains without having these isolated and disconnected, chain hops. So I just wanted to move along to ask you about your experience with venture capital, and hopefully I think builders would be very interested in this. So when you're evaluating founders and teams, what skills or experience are you looking for, particularly with regard to Web3 projects?
Yeah, it's a good question, Kevin. I think there's a lot of great stuff that's coming through still. Maybe not as at the same rate that it was with the same excitement level 6 to 8 months ago or earlier this year. But I do think there's really strong stuff that's still being built. And a lot of our teams, a lot of our founders are really heads down, and they recognize this as like, the sort of market condition that we're in is downtime to build like really crisp, clean things. And I think what's interesting about that is that what's going to come out on the other end when we hit sort of the next run or the next wave of adoption or the next wave of people entering into the system, I think it's just going to make for, going back to my first conversation we had about sort of clean UI, right? And smooth, seamless experiences. I think some of the more interesting stuff that we're seeing today are founders who really understand the industries that exist today, and either how they're going to be completely appended by blockchain and where they're going to insert themselves to help make that happen and be a catalyst for that, or the industries that are going to be appended, but then also the industries that might not exist in the same way. So who's going to not, like, what businesses or what segments are not going to be there, and how can blockchain sort of displace them? So the founders that I think are really interesting sort of see this on a broader sphere, and it's not, there's definitely like widgets and bells and whistles that are being built as well, and we definitely have a pretty strong subset of founders that are in the infrastructure play, and just creating developer tooling and some data indexing and awesome stuff. But there's a lot more that I think are recognizing now sort of the real world applications and where those are going to land, and trying to play around with how to disrupt those, leveraging all of those great infrastructure plays and all the underlying technology and all, connected contracts, the Axelar stuff, and all of those things coming into play, and how those things are enabling them to really, change and create applications that can be more broadly used.
Oh, absolutely. And so just to recap, it sounds like you're saying you're looking for, founders who have deep subject matter expertise, who are experts in their chosen field. And if somebody's, is that correct?
Yeah, Kevin, I'm not necessarily sure it's like deep expertise in your field as much as it is like a vision for what's possible for disruption in a particular sector. And it has to be sort of that vision coupled with the background understanding and like the foundations of understanding what the technology is capable of doing right now and 2-3 years down the road to sort of create that disruption.
Amazing. One of the quotes that I heard from Tim Draper that he always liked to say is, live in the future and then, build what's there. So if
right.
that Web3 is going to be huge, then what can you build? What are we going to need in like 3 or 4 years,
Yeah, that's right. And where's blockchain going to be in 3 or 4 years? Are we going to be collecting NFTs in disparate wallets across different ecosystems, or is it going to be more smooth? Are they going to have real utility? How are brands going to use them? How's the entertainment industry going to use NFTs and going to line that up to artist rights? Like, there's a ton of interesting opportunities for sure.
So for founders who are progressing along from hackathons, and they've received a couple grants already, what advice would you give them to teams that are looking to raise money now?
I think there's a lot of VCs that are still very interested in supporting the next wave of entrepreneurs in the blockchain space. Absolutely. I know Arrington's very bullish on a lot of the founders that we've had over the past couple years, and still investing in projects across our, we take a thesis driven approach where we look at the layer ones, we look at the tech, and then we look at the cross-chain interoperability and build on top of those. We're still doubled down. We're still investing in that stuff. I think there's also a lot of really strong accelerator. The hackathons are one thing as a jumping off point. I think there's also sort of as that bridge, there's longer term accelerator programs. I know there's some 3-month accelerator programs. I've seen some 6-month classes and cohorts go through. And I think, as a community, it's important that we put the emphasis on those demo days. Whether it's within an ecosystem. I was at one last week as part of an ecosystem. I know there's one coming up in a couple weeks that I've been asked to go to. So I think some of these demo days, like those should be the most exciting things that we have in crypto. If you look at people that have spent 3 months, 6 months, or 3 weeks, like building something that could really impact things, like I think that's where I would love to see, venture in the crypto community put more emphasis on some of these pitch days or demo days where people can get really rallied up to sort of see what's up and coming, and really shine a spotlight on those who are building and thinking through incredible challenges to solve.
Indeed. Thank you so much, Keli. I want to pose 2 questions to both of you. Maybe we can go back to Isma to start. Ismail. I call you by your Discord username. I hope that's okay. I'm always used to seeing you as Isma.
It's okay. Everyone calls me Isma. It's shorter.
Okay. Cool. So Isma, in general, what excites you about the Moonbeam ecosystem?
Well, that's a hard question because there are different things that I find exciting from Moonbeam. The number one will be having an Ethereum virtual machine with all the tools that I already was using in Ethereum. For example, the block explorer, all the tools like Hardhat and Truffle, well, all the tools for smart contract development, almost all of them, I have them in Moonbeam, and I don't have them in other parachains or in other Ethereum blockchains with an Ethereum virtual machine. So that makes my life easier, and I like that. The second thing will be the philosophy of the project of Moonbeam and Moonriver, or about cross-chain communication, either using XCM to send messages between parachains, or Axelar to send messages between blockchains outside of the Polkadot or Kusama ecosystem. Another thing that I would also like to point is that Moonbeam allows you to use 2 programming languages that are very different on the same place, that are Solidity for the smart contracts and Rust for the infrastructure and for more things. And that's awesome because it's quite a challenge as a developer to do proper code that you can trust in it in both languages. And it's quite an adventure, and I like it, and I recommend it to anyone that likes coding, even if you don't know Solidity or Rust, that to try any of the courses on Moonbeam. Because another thing that I like to point out is that the people behind Moonbeam and Moonriver takes care of the developers, and they are always doing podcasts and doing online talks where you can participate, and they are doing courses. For example, they did a solidity course where you could learn to build a decentralized autonomous organization, an NFT, and some more things. And that's awesome. And I have not seen that involvement in other blockchain than Ethereum, only here in Moonbeam. I think that's I think that's almost all that excites me from this ecosystem. Maybe I'm missing something, and I will remember it this night while I'm in bed. But I think that's all.
Wow, wow, wow. Thank you so much, Isma. We we've always, been striving to have that same level, of Ethereum compatibility, and as Ethereum, to start, because that's where, all the tools that are already built, as you mentioned, all the convenience, is already there. And there was a panel at DAppCon last week called, EVM, Web3's Eternal Engine. That was the name of the panel, and the discussion was kind of, back and forth, talking about, how the EVM has grown up and things like that. And it's undeniable that it has such a huge, attention and mind space, of developers right now. So if you want to have a layer one that has, lots of dApps, you have to make it easy, for developers, to build. And we're very focused on that. So Isma, I have a final question, and that's the name of the hackathon is the Connected Contracts Hackathon. And so I was wondering if you could maybe share with us an idea or two, if you had any use cases in mind that might be particularly well suited, for a connected contracts approach.
I think there are a lot of good ideas for connected contracts because cross-chain communication is something very interesting and new. And for example, one idea for this hackathon will be to make a smart contract using Axelar that allows you to create an NFT collection with the same address on multiple chains. So you could create your NFT collection on Moonbeam and sell your NFTs on OpenSea, on Polygon, or on Binance Smart Chain, or on any chain that supports Axelar. And in addition to that, you could use those NFTs as cross-chain digital identity. For example, you could build a whole community using those NFTs, and you will not need to separate all your communities for chain across chains, because your NFT contract will be the same on all chains. That would be one good idea. Another idea that comes to my mind that I think that it's really, really, really awesome, but I'm not smart enough to implement it, is, for example, use Uniswap version 3 and using smart contracts and Axelar. For example, you could create positions on Uniswap, on Polygon, or on Ethereum using Glimmer on Moonbeam, and you will not need to hold Ethereum. So, for example, if you are a Glimmer holder and you are staking it, you could open positions on Uniswap using the staking rewards. Also for governance, and for a lot of things that I could spend the whole day speaking. But it's a very dense topic. I gave a few ideas for anyone that still doesn't know what to do for this hackathon. And Axelar has a lot of good examples on their site. So I ask anyone hearing me to go ahead and start coding.
Phenomenal ideas. And a quick shout out to Moonbuilders Academy. Jeremy from the Moonbeam team has built a lesson on connected contracts with Axelar. I went through it yesterday, so I had a special preview of it before it's live, and it is really, really cool. So I can't wait for the advanced course to go live. And I know it's kind of off topic, but just something I wanted to mention. We are running a little bit out of time, so I did want to kind of ask Keli and Isma for kind of some closing thoughts, and then we'll wrap it up with just a little bit of kind of operational aspects about the hackathon and go over some deadlines and things like that. So Keli, any closing thoughts as we wrap up?
I think there's a ton of opportunity, right? I think there's a lot of great opportunity. I think what Moonbeam is doing, I think some of the prizes that are up for grabs and some of the just possibilities for within the Moonbeam ecosystem are really exciting right now. It's new, it's young, and that's a fun time to be part of something that's growing, and it's a fun time to experiment and learn yourself. So I would encourage anyone on this call, if you've never done anything with the Moonbeam ecosystem, like, this is a great opportunity. You get to learn about Axelar and others as well. And if you've never done anything blockchain related, also a great opportunity to sort of dive in. And I think that's where I'll leave it. I'll turn it to Ismail. We'll have probably some better comments there.
Keli, thank you so much. And thank you so much, not just for your support of the Connected Contracts Hackathon, but thank you so much for what you do every day, supporting builders in the Moonbeam ecosystem and supporting our team, PureStake, building out Moonbeam. So Isma, yeah, before we wrap up with logistics and stuff, any closing thoughts?
I only want to support and cheer the people on the hackathon. And I want to thank you everyone on the Discord community for all the chats and questions that we ask and answer there. And I only want to ask the people that is not on the Moonbeam Discord to join the community and start building with us. Thank you.
And the link to join the Discord is discord.gg/Moonbeam. You can also find the link to our Discord on the Moonbeam docs site or our link tree, but I'll just repeat it. It's discord.gg/Moonbeam. And as Isma mentioned, it's a place to get help on building your application, not just from Moonbeam team members, but from the community. So, about half the time that you ask a question, it doesn't have to be Moonbeam related. It could be Solidity or Ethereum or Polkadot related, anything. You'll get an answer in pretty quick and short order. It's a phenomenal community there. And another thing to point out is that we have many different channels. So we have a hackathons channel, and we do pay particular attention to that, to the hackathons one and the builders channel. So if you're looking for a quick answer and you're looking for a place to put it, I would recommend the builders or the hackathon channel. And finally, we have a special private channel, which is called Moon Builders Social Club. You gain access to that when you own an NFT. And the particular NFT cannot be purchased. It can only be awarded in a couple different ways. So one of the ways that it's awarded is if you place in a hackathon. So if you win any prize, then you'll be awarded with this Moon Builders Social Club NFT. Another possibility is you don't have to place in a hackathon, but if you complete the Moon Builders Academy, then you would also earn this NFT. So both are significant time commitments, and we're very excited to see people. It's not just representing perks in the virtual world, but we also hope to have in-person events and things like that. Moving on to logistics and everything, the deadline for the Connected Contracts Hackathon is Monday, September 26th at 5 p.m. Eastern. So if you have something in draft and you're looking to finalize it, make sure that you have it submitted before Monday. So submit it Sunday, submit it Saturday, submit it now, because we won't be able to evaluate it, if it's still in draft. And we know that there are lots of submissions that are in draft, they're in progress, and that's wonderful. but we just want to make sure that you bring it across the finish line. And remember, this is a hackathon. We're not expecting production, finished, perfect, projects. Nobody writes bug-free code, and so if you have something that's 90% of the way there, or 50% of the way there, we still encourage you to submit this hackathon project. And we're very excited to check them out. So a quick recap for the bounties, right? We have $55,000 in prizes in total. And the bounties include ones like building a cross-chain dApp using Axelar. There are a number of different prizes there, first, second, third, but also a noteworthy $300 follow-up prize for the top 10 remaining projects that submit something that builds on top of Axelar. So this could be a wonderful incentive to build something where even if you're not sure if you're using it in an interesting way, if you're just trying out a new connected contracts approach that's kind of experimental, there could be a great incentive there to try it out. There's a Moonbeam Foundation Grand Prize, which is a pretty open-ended one. That includes a first and a second place. A first place prize of $6,500, a second place prize of $1,500. We have two governance-related bounties. One is essentially builds a voting application that has a large first place prize of $7,500. We also have one that's meant more for beginners, and that's a straw poll app. This is meant to be, a significantly easier bounty, and so that would be a place for you to submit votes before they move on to an actual proposal. So instead of having a formal proposal, you can have a casual one, and you can have people upvote or downvote these on chain. We also have two different bounties with two prizes each, both sponsored by Arrington Capital. That's the Moonshot Prize, which is one that's targeted towards submissions that are technically complex, that have a wonderful user experience, that are original, and also have a demonstrated value proposition. Here, taking on more difficult projects and ideas that are more involved, that will be rewarded in the judging process. And for the Moonbase Prize, it's a similar bounty, but it's meant to be for one that is original and new. So something where it's not a fork from another chain, where deploying onto a Moonbeam network would kind of be your first destination. I think that brings us to the close. And I want to thank you all very much for joining our Connected Contracts Hackathon Twitter space. Thank you so much to Keli, and thank you so much to Isma. Really appreciate your time this morning, and for making this a fantastic Twitter Spaces.
Thank you, Kevin.
We'll see you in the next one.
See ya.